Kids and cadets, welcome back to Tommy Time. You kids are great. I appreciate you coming out. I had picked up this Troy-Bilt yesterday for $35. Had seen it on Craigslist. Met with Harvey, the homeowner. So I got the manual with it and the owner's parts list. He gave me that. Unfortunately, Harvey had worked on this thing, and I've discovered a few things since my last video. In the first video, I showed you these 3 recoil screws that he had used. 1 sheet metal screw and 2 wood screws. So that was not good at all. So I put in the correct screws for the recoil. You kids and cadets started it with me. It was surging. I tried to put some fuel additive in it after we drained the fuel, and I sent you kids and cadets to the kitchen. I let it idle for 20 minutes and it didn't clean up anything. So I knew it was time for a carb clean. This is the fuel that came out of it. Some of the fuel in there is what I took out of the bowl and dumped it in here. This is tank fuel and the fuel that was in the bowl. So pretty nasty. I don't know where Harvey was getting his fuel from, but they went to a battery-powered mower, which is probably better for him. All he's got to do is plug it into the wall. It'd be less effort on his part maintaining it. So as you recall, there was no air filter on this. I put a new air filter on it. I noticed one of the screws here that attached the backing plate was wrong. He put another oddball size screw in there, so I don't know why he couldn't keep track of his hardware. He must open the front door and threw it all out onto the front yard. A lot of stuff was missing on this thing. I'll show you what else was missing. This is just a sample carburetor. When I took the carburetor off the Troy-Bilt, all that was in there was the O-ring. This white plastic clip keeps the O-ring in the channel. It locks it in place. Well, there was no O-ring. So what you have is, no locking clip. The O-ring was in place. So what you have is the O-ring with nothing holding it, so it's moving around as the carburetor moves. So potentially you can get unmetered air through the opening here in the carburetor. I don't know what he did with the white hold down clip, but it was not there. So I stole one off of a junk carburetor and put it on and put it all back together. So it ended up one of these jets in the carburetor was pretty well plugged up. So I think that's what the surging issue was. I used compressed air, cleaned out all the inside of the carburetor, the inside of the gas tank, got everything ship-shape. Changed the blade, which I'll discuss next, and changed the oil. So I pretty much went ahead and serviced this whole unit. I'll show you the blade that came off of it and then the replacement blade I put on it. I got a 3-pack of these Oregon replacement blades. So I'll show you that in a minute. Let me show you the original blade. So pretty well flat. This side here doesn't look bad as far as what he hit. I think the other side's, yeah, the other side's much worse as far as indentation in the blade. If you can see that, it's pretty well beat up right here. Large pieces of steel are missing from the blade. Like I said in yesterday's video, it'd take me quite a bit to get an edge on this thing. So I just went ahead and changed it out. So comparing both blades, you can see the back of the blade here also has some wear on it on the original one. So that probably was some sandblasting here on the original blade. Same thing with the other side. You got some wear back here on the back side. That's a better example of how much crap this guy ran over. So it's an Oregon 198-049. It's the bow tie center hole 21-inch blade. It replaces the MTD 942-0741, the Stens 335-214, and the rotary blade number 6423. I'll go ahead and put a description below of the part numbers here in case you have to change it out. If you go to Flea Bay or the Big Jungle Company and you put it in MTD 942-0741, that'll bring up quite a few different aftermarket makers of blades. Since this is a Troy-Bilt, you can go ahead and look up the Troy-Bilt number as well. But there's quite a large variety of aftermarket companies that have blades. So, not a terrible turnaround on this carb work blade oil change. Followed it up after Harvey's hardware debacle with not having the right hardware for this. So what I'm going to do is add some fuel to this, and hopefully we have some success. So let me do that right now. Before I start, I want to show you another maintenance thing that I do. Okay, a couple of good pours, that should be enough. Let me bring you up to the safety bar cable, the brake cable. What you want to do is put a little WD-40 here in the tube. Moisture collects in the tube, the steel cable will rust. You also want to put a couple of zippy ties here. I've mentioned it in a couple other videos. There's just a plastic a plastic tab that goes into the tube of the handle. That's the only thing securing this cable. So you pull on this 500 times over a couple years and it stresses out this plastic. So put a couple of zippy ties here. It keeps this secure against the tubing, less stress on the plastic. That plastic snaps off and it's going to break. You're going to need a new cable at that point. Most people don't know how to change the cable. They're 10 to 15 bucks. They'll just throw this to the street because the safety brake cable is broken. Okay, let me pull on this. This is an automatic choke. This thing should be ready to go. Okay, I'm happy with that 2012 Troy-Bilt with the 550EX engine. He got this at Lowe's. Troy-Bilt owner's manual, TB110 is what we got. Anyway, pretty happy with this one. Quick turnaround, did all my maintenance on it, all the stuff that I would normally do to get a unit ready to sell. So not bad for a let's see, 2012 unit. So we're looking at a 10-year-old machine. Not so bad. Anyway, appreciate you kids and cadets coming out. I'll have some more videos this week. Like I said, easy turnaround on this one. Just went behind Harvey, the homeowner, and corrected all his goof-ups. Basically, was what this deal was. And the fact that the fuel was stale and contaminated. Come back and see me. Thanks again.